Greetings, everybody. I hope that you guys are good. We're now having a look at the Ethereum chart, and we are on the monthly chart, as you guys can see. And previously, we had spoken about how we have this W structure over here. Just bear with me. We have this W structure over here, which has a neckline at this level, more or less, and we saw that price broke to the upside of that neckline and then continued going up, right. And then later on in the future, we saw price push further down to test this level over here, which is a very strong level of support, as you guys can see. And we can see here that price somewhat has been struggling in regards to penetrating that level, and the support area that we have over here seems to be holding, right. So what I'm going to do is just add a line to that support area just to mark it. Just bear with me. Let's see. Just bear with me, guys. So there goes our support area, more or less. And just to emphasize, remember that support is an area and not so much an actual line, right? So here we are, we have price being at the support area. To add to that, we had also spoken about how we have this head and shoulders pattern, which has a neckline more or less at this level. We saw price breaking to the bottom side of that neckline and then heading up to retest that neckline and pushing further down. So we would have looked for possible selling opportunities at that point. And in my humble opinion, as much as we have this very strong level of support, I believe that we might possibly see price crash that support and head down to at least this level, and that is because that's where the formation started, more or less, as you guys can see, right? So I expect it to end at around this level, more or less, right? But we first need price to actually break this area, and then we will look for potential selling opportunities, as the expectation is for the market to push further down to around this level at least, right? So what I'm going to do now is just add a neckline to that very important head and shoulders pattern. Just bear with me. Let's see, how would our neckline be? Yeah, we can say that our neckline more or less is at that point, right? So from here, what I'm going to do is head down to the weekly chart. So just bear with me, guys, while I do so. So here we are on the weekly chart, right? So in regards to the weekly chart of Ethereum, what is it that we see that we should be paying attention to, right? Another thing that I see is that as much as we have on the monthly chart that huge head and shoulders pattern that I spoke about, we also seem to have another head and shoulders pattern at this point, as you guys can see, which has a neckline at more or less that level, right? I hope you guys can see that clearly. And similar to the head and shoulders pattern that we have on that monthly chart, the anticipation at this point in time is for the market to at least reach this level to complete that head and shoulders pattern, right? And just remember that the neckline is at that level, more or less, and we can see that price has broken to the bottom side of that neckline. And yeah, I expect price to push further down to at least that level. But first, as I said, the market needs to break this very strong level of support which we drew on the monthly chart. So what I'm going to do now is just add another line to that structure, just so that we don't forget about the fact that we have another smaller head and shoulders pattern at that level. Just bear with me, guys. So there we go, more or less, right? So what else do we see, guys, in regards to the weekly chart of Ethereum? Another thing that I see that is very, very important is the fact that we have a W structure at this point, which has a neckline at that level, and we saw price breaking to the upside of that neckline and then heading back down to retest the neckline of that W structure. And at this point, a lot of people bought as they expect price to move further up, and that is because, guys, when we have W structures, we want to see price break the neckline to the upside and then come back to the neckline to test it, and this is where we normally look for potential buying opportunities, right? So myself as well, I didn't take this trade, but I would have looked for potential buying opportunities at this point as well, right? Anyway, let's proceed. So can you guys see that we have a bit of a dilemma? We have a bit of a a dilemma in that we have two opposing structures. First, we have this W structure, and secondly, we have this head and shoulders structure, right? So we have the W structure in this manner, and then we have that head and shoulders pattern, and they both have necklines in more or less the same area, and price is at this point more or less, right? So it makes it very tricky in regards to buying or selling, right? So we need to actually go down to the smaller time frames to see if we can actually get away with making any buying or selling opportunities, right? Yeah, so what else do we see, guys, in regards to the weekly chart before we go down to the daily chart? Another thing that I see is the fact that we have an overextended M structure over here, which also has a neckline at around this level as well, right? Similarly, we saw price breaking the neckline to the bottom side and then heading back up to the neckline to test it, and this is where we would have looked for potential selling opportunities, right, to at least this level over here, because that's where we have the neckline of the W structure, in my humble opinion, right? Anyway, let's proceed, and as I said, guys, what I'm going to do from here is just head down to the weekly chart, the daily chart. However, before I do so, I'm just going to add a neckline to that small W structure as well, because it's extremely important, and we need to just ensure that we are up to speed in regards to what's going on in our surroundings. So just bear with me, guys. I'm just going to make it a different color actually, just so that we don't get confused. Let's see. I'll make the neckline of this W structure orange, and I also think I should make the neckline of the smaller head and shoulders pattern orange as well, because they are opposing structures and we might as well make them the same color. There we go, right? So from here I'm just gonna head down to the daily chart, and here we are on the daily chart, and on the daily chart I believe that the patterns are much clearer, as you guys can see, right? Because I'd said that on the weekly chart we have this very nice W structure, right, which has a neckline over there, and similarly we also have this head and shoulders pattern which has a neckline at that level over there, right? And I'd said that their necklines are more or less in the same area, and it makes buying or selling a bit difficult, right? But because at this point in time price is much more closer to the neckline of this head and shoulders pattern, it would make sense to sell than to buy, right? And if we were to sell at this point, our take profit should be at least this point over here, because we have a very strong neckline, which is also a very strong level of support. Having said that, I'm not saying that we should be selling at this point, because we would need confluence and further confirmation to do that, right? Anyway, let's proceed, guys. So here we are on the daily chart. In regards to the daily chart, the first thing that I'm going to do is just to add my channel. So just bear with me, guys, as I do so. Let's see, how would I add my channel in regards to the daily chart? Let's see. Just bear with me, guys. I would add my channel in this manner. Let's have a look. So there goes my channel, more or less, right? And guys, something interesting is happening. Can you see that as much as we have this head and shoulders pattern and the neckline of that pattern being at that level, can you also see that the trend line at this level has been broken to the downside, which in my humble opinion adds further confirmation or further reason for why we should be selling, and at least to this level, because it's a very strong level of support, right? Having said that, guys, in my humble opinion, what I would do is I would wait for price to, on the smaller time frames such as the H4, I would wait for price to head back to the neckline, and that's where I would look for further selling opportunities, and my first take profit should be at least this level, which is the neckline of that W structure, right? Anyway, what I'm going to do from here is head down to the H4 chart, seeing that I don't really see much of interest in regards to the daily chart of this particular chart of Ethereum, right? Anyway, let's head down to the H4 chart. and here we are on the H4 chart. I'm just going to first start off by fixing my lines just to make sure that they are in order. Just bear with me, guys. Let's see. There we go. Right. Yeah, and here we are on the H4 chart. Right. So what else do we see on the H4 chart that we should be paying attention to? Let's have a look. I'm just gonna fix my neckline as well at this point, right? So remember, guys, on the daily chart, or rather on the daily chart, I'd said that we should wait for price to head back to this level, which is the neckline, and then at this point look for potential selling opportunities, right, to around where we have the neckline of that W structure, right? As much as we have that, guys, can you also see that we have this smaller M structure at that point, which has a neckline where we have a neckline of that head and shoulders pattern, right? So that's further confluence for why we should be looking for further selling opportunities, right? So as I said, guys, at this point I would wait for price to head back to this level, and at this level I would look for potential selling opportunities, right? Just to look for more confluence, what I'm going to do is just utilize the Fibonacci retracement tool. I just want to see if the neckline of that M structure actually aligns with any of the key numbers that we have on the tool, and if we do have any key numbers that align with the neckline, that'll be further confirmation and further confluence in as far as looking for potential selling opportunities goes, right? So there we go, right? As I said, we have the smaller M structure which has a neckline at that point, more or less, and can you guys see that the neckline aligns with about the 50% and the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement levels, and at this point indeed we should be looking for potential selling opportunities to at least this level over here, right? So that is my analysis, guys, and as far as this particular instrument goes, right? But just to recap, I'm just going to go back to the daily chart, right? Remember, guys, on the daily chart we spoke about how we have this inverted head and shoulders pattern which has a neckline over there, right? To add to that, we spoke about this W structure which has a neckline at this point, right? And I said that, guys, at this point I believe we should be looking for potential selling opportunities, right? And then from here we went to the H4 chart, and on the H4 chart we spoke about how we have this smaller M structure which has a neckline at that point, and the neckline at that point aligns with the 50% as well as the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement levels, right? Which is further confluence for why we should be looking for further selling opportunities, right? So that is my analysis, guys, and as far as Ethereum goes, I hope that makes sense. Short term, I believe we should be looking for selling opportunities at this level should price revert, and our take profit should be at least this level over here, which is the rather neckline of that W structure that I spoke about, which is at this level over here, right? Peace out, guys.